Hi, my name is Lena. Welcome to my channel. I'm very glad that Steve Donoghue hosting this read-along of Iliad this month. I find such works of classics easier to read in a company, especially in a big company. Um, so this is my first impressions video of first 6 chapters. And I watched Steve's video and I watched Fariba's video on the channel The Medieval Reader. She was talking about the way this oral myth was put on the paper. It was very interesting, and she was talking about the text that was used in all the translation in all the different languages. Um, She talked about where it comes from, the text itself, and it was very interesting. And many years ago, I watched a TV program where a host and a person who writes books about ancient civilization or about periods of history. They usually talk on different subjects, for example, on about the um, oh my god, Scottish people in Russia during Peter the Great. We had 2 dynasties here in Russia, I guess, or about northern sagas, or about education in ancient Greece. They are very interesting 1 hour programs. And once they were talking about literature and the meaning, the influence of literature in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, and they were telling that back then Iliad actually was considered to be a historical document. So it wasn't just a poem, and it wasn't just a mythos, it wasn't just a fairy tale, a fiction. They considered it to be a historical document. And so if your city wanted to play a leading part in politics in Greece, this city needed to be in this catalog of the ship, in this list of all the ships that came with Agamemnon. So it was very interesting. And they speculated that actually the part about Athens sending ships, I'm sorry guys, this part about ships from Athens might have been added much later to kind of to give Athens ground for the political claim, something like that. It was very interesting. Of course, I have no idea whether it was true or not. I took Steve Donoghue's advice and I read a Wikipedia page, and in the comment section, Britta Boller, I believe she gave us a link to a podcast about Trojan War. I listened to the first one, the first part, 40 minutes. It's very entertaining and it's very interesting. I recommend it. So I also watched the movie Troy with Orlando Bloom and Diana Kruger and Brad Pitt. It's a very very loose um, movie adaptation of Iliad, I guess. Um, it's not exactly close to the text, I think. Um, so the story is Paris abducted Helen of Sparta and married her. She became Helen of Troy, and it's unclear whether her husband and his brother want to have her back, or they want actually the treasures of Troy. But they gathered a huge fleet, and they have been, by this moment, they have been battling the Trojans for 9 years. And I believe chapters 1 to 6 describes the first big battle between when the Trojans are not behind their famous indestructible walls. So it's bloody, it's messy, and there is no honor whatsoever in any of it. Um, to tell you the truth, I am not impressed yet. I am not impressed after with Iliad, after reading Ovid's Metamorphosis. And it's possible that the reason why is the translation. By the way, this is my book, the book that I have had for about 20 years, and it's the first time that I actually get so far as chapter 7. Um, so the translation used in this book was made in 1829. So I read it, and I constantly think, is it a word? Did he make it up? So it's kind of difficult for me to read. It's beautiful, but not as beautiful as Ovid, or as the translation of Ovid into Russian that I read. So about what stood out for me, to me. This small story, I was very interested in the story of the way Hephaestus became lame, that he was trying to defend his mother, Hera, from his father's, Zeus's attempt to beat her. That was very interesting. And the thing that surprised me the most, that Helen of Troy seems to not even like Paris, and she kind of wants to come back, come back home to her husband Menelaus, which I think is understandable, considering that Greeks wrote this poem and not Trojans. So, and I think we have a story of resurrection hidden in these chapters. The story of Sarpedon. I don't even know. Wikipedia doesn't have his page in English. He was Zeus's son. He fought Zeus's grandson, the son of Hercules, Heracles, and there was a moment when his soul left him. He stopped breathing, and then he just started breathing again. So it kind of reminds me of resurrection. And the most vivid moment was when After a long battle, the Trojans and the Achaeans, they are described as white from head to toes, toes with dust and dirt. That was the most vivid moment for me. And the most touching moment was when Achilles was talking to his wife and was playing with his son. I think it's the end of the chapter 6, towards the end of the chapter 6. Before this moment, the only two people I liked in Iliad were Priam and Nestor, the oldest man from Trojan side and from Achaean side. Um, as I understood it, Aphrodite and Zeus himself are support the Trojans, but Athena and Hera, they are supporting the Achaeans. Ares is supporting Aphrodite, but nobody interferes. Nobody interferes until the moment Achilles asks his mother to ask Zeus to punish his own people, to punish the Achaeans. And afterwards, I believe it becomes the battle between gods, and people becomes expendable tools. I felt like the gods were characters in these chapters, not heroes. Well, I think it's all. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and happy reading. Sorry. Bye.